Some of you may have heard of the Three Stooges, but if you really want to be impressive, do you know the show called Gilligan's Island? It was an American sitcom that aired in 1964. 3 seasons and 99 episodes, really not bad for the time. Both black and white, and there was one in color, starting in 1965. Let me summarize what the show was about. There's a two-man crew on the charter boat SS Minnow and five passengers on as the theme song states, 3 hour tour from Honolulu. And they run into a typhoon and are shipwrecked on an uncharted island somewhere in the Pacific. Now, that might sound really, really disastrous, but it was a sitcom. The show featured the following main characters: Gilligan, played by Bob Denver, who else? The skipper, portrayed by Alan Hale Jr., the professor, played by Russell Johnson, Ginger, Tina Louise, and Marianne by Dawn Wells. So that's the basic plot and characters, and yes, I got that information from Wikipedia. The show wasn't bad. There's an episode of Gilligan's Island that has never been released by CBS Productions because it's, well, rather disturbing. I wouldn't say it's violent, it's just kind of disturbing to watch compared to the other episodes. The episode was listed as the 100th episode of the series before the show was canceled and added to the pit of forgotten programs, but I must tell you, it was not forgotten. I'm going to share some information about this episode, but promise me you won't laugh. The episode was called Gilligone Island, like the name of the show. It might have been a test episode. I really don't know. Anyway, now that we're done talking about the name, let's focus on the plot. The episode started like any other, with Gilligan and the rest being stranded on that island, but this one never before seen in the show is, well, it's strange. It looks abandoned and forgotten. The episode starts right away with Gilligan and the skipper being the only people on the island. They explored it, and it was, well, there were bones strewn about the dirt. There were hordes of spiders coming down from the trees. And Gilligan, upon closer inspection behind the palm trees, finds the corpse of a man. Skipper and Gilligan were starving. They didn't know what to do, but they got so hungry that one of them or the other, I don't remember and I don't care, grabbed a knife and started plunging plunging it into the corpse. One of them gives half of the organs to the other, eats the rest. What can I say? If I was in the same situation as them, I'd do the same. It sounds weird, I know, but it's necessary for survival. Shut up. Stop judging. You know, they then start bantering about how they might leave the island, but one or the other starts blabbering about how he gained a taste for human blood and flesh. Now, keep in mind that I don't sit around watching Gilligan's Island's episodes. I watch with my parents on a few occasions, but this episode just kind of found its way to me. Show was supposed to be family friendly, but cannibalism and liking it? I mean, come on. Well, they continued their organic feast. Gilligan put his clothes on the skeleton because his outfit got dirty from the bloody feast. I guess this was an attempt at humor. He was naked, they didn't bother censoring it. Dirty and bloody. I'm guessing this episode was targeted for an older audience that did mind porno. Then the main portion of the episode kicked in. Gilligan and the skippers started to fix the boat to get back to the island, the other island, which would keep them stranded, but so be it. They were looking for parts, but they didn't find a single one. Gilligan breaks the shed down and uses shed parts to build a boat. However, he passes out because of dehydration, and obviously they can't drink the salt water from the sea. He isn't quite dead. The skipper notices and gives him some water. Gilligan drinks it, but he's still hungry. He apologizes to the skipper as he picks up a rock and starts beating his hand, causing blood to come out. He groans in pain, and Gilligan puts a bandage on his hand. He eats the bloody pieces from his hand. Then they started building a campfire to get warmth. Perhaps it would have been more merciful if he had starved to death. The next scene was shown. Gilligan and the skipper were lying near the fire. The skipper started yelling and started punching Gilligan. I have no idea until he started yelling and screaming about seeing the movie star that they're normally stranded with, some sort of mirage. He bit a piece of his arm off and screamed in agony, covering his arm. After this scene, mercifully, I must add, ends, Gilligan puts his clothes on because he kept complaining about things going into his groin. They started fixing the boat and they finally got off the island. The episode cut to black with the credits, and I was just thankful that the episode was over and they got off the island. But what was the point of that? What lesson could there possibly have been to be learned? Gilligan and the skipper get stranded on another island. They eat human flesh, blood, organs, and other stuff, and their own bodies. Could this have been some sort of editorial on why we put down animals that bite humans? Listen, I don't know. I don't want to call Bob Denver an animal. That's just disrespecting the dead. Anyway, after I watched the episode, I was just trying to forget about it. I tried watching The Three Stooges, which I'd say is more lighthearted, but they poke each other's eyes out with their fingers. I always turn to The Three Stooges in times of trouble, after my cat died. R.I.P. Mr. Bigglesworth. Our curiosity about Gilligan Island continues to get the best of me. Googled it on IMDb, but there was nothing. Gilligan, the Goddess from 1967, the last part of season 3, not season 4. Oh, I used the Wayback Machine, and that's when I found it. Archive.org. There was no rating. And comedy and family was like the rest of the episode, but here's what the description read. Gilligan and the skipper got stuck on an island, and they needed to take whatever they could find to survive, even including their own skin and tissue. Will they die? Whether by their own actions, the others, or the islands. There were no photos, and of course, the top two actors, Gilligan and the skipper, nothing unusual about them. Everything else was the same. Not unusual. The ratings weren't even especially good. Hell, I don't know if the people who rated it even watched the thing. All I know is back then IMDb had forums, and according to one of the posts, Gilligan Island was an actual set taken place on an actual abandoned island. Eventually, a fan of the show, bothered, disgusted, and perhaps humiliated by the existence of this lost episode, set the damn thing ablaze, and that was the end of it. Can't grow anything there anymore, not after the fires of all the palm trees. It was a real place, though it shouldn't have been.